Well, hello there. Thank you for tuning in to another edition of Paul de Guzman Presents Art. So, um, it's kind of a sad day today, and I'm going to tell you a little bit later why it's a sad day. But I'm happy though that I've had some new subscribers to the channel, and these new subscribers are more than welcome to engage with the content that I'm going to be producing for this channel in the foreseeable future. And to those of you who are new to the channel, I just want to mention that this channel is dedicated to contemporary art, mostly here in Vancouver, but also elsewhere as I travel. So I just want to mention that some acknowledgement that we are on the unceded and ancestral territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations, also known as the city of Vancouver. And in the city of Vancouver, we are in this area called the Flats area, and we are visiting the Burrard Arts Foundation, right over there. And a bit of bad news about the Burrard Arts Foundation, because I just learned that despite the success of its residency program for a lot of emerging artists, they are closing down. And they told me, the people inside told me, that this is the last show that they're going to be having. So it's almost like it's a privilege for me to actually be able to sort of report on the current show right now, which is Intimacy Is by Karice Mitchell. So, did I forget anything? I'm going to be putting a lot of information down in the description area for you to visit, because the show Intimacy Is by Karice Mitchell is on till October 28th. So you have plenty of time to go and visit the gallery. The gallery is located at 258 East First Avenue in Vancouver, and all of that information regarding the address and the press release will be in the description area. So we're gonna go inside and have a look at Karice Mitchell's work called Intimacy Is. So we're just gonna go through. It's gonna go open the door. Open the door perhaps for the very last time. I don't know if my voice will relay some sort of sadness, but the thing about the Burrard Arts Foundation is that it's been a beacon of opportunities for emerging artists here in Vancouver. I mean, also in different areas, you know. They would, it's a wonderful program that supports emerging artistic practices, and, you know, this channel tends to sort of like champion a lot of nonprofit, public art, and underrepresented artists. So, in a way, it's one of those nails in the coffin, so to speak, but it's very, very sad. So I'm going through the business of having a look at Karice Mitchell's work. We're just going to pan a little bit now. You know, the only remedy for like bad news is good news, and the good news is that this is a really striking and wonderful exhibition. I saw the work by Karice Mitchell a few months ago, maybe half a year ago, at Willabally Art Projects, and I was fortunate enough to attend one of the talks between her and the current curator of Gallery Gachet, Olumorotu George, and they're both of Afro-Caribbean descent, and the entire conversation between the two of them, it's more like two friends talking about very serious issues dealing with Black Lives Matter, issues about decolonialism, and this entire show has aspects of that intensity of the conversation that they had. The nice thing about the Burrard Arts Foundation is that they have these really nice artist statements. They're not overly long, you know. They're not. I mean, usually the curtains do match the sofa, so to speak. And so when you actually go and have a look at this here. Just going to show you a little bit. This is the brochure that it came with. And it has a lot of information in there. And I did a little bit of an underlining of some ideas that I want to discuss. So first off, these are photographic prints. They're in very small format. I think they might actually even be 8 by 10. They are all pinned to the wall with specimen pins. And they are apparently scans of the artist's body. Now, this entire series of work came about when the artist was actually researching a particular magazine called Players Magazine, which is a black-centric, softcore, pornographic periodical published from 1973 to 2005. And what she does is she takes excerpts from the photographs in the magazine and manipulates them. Perhaps sometimes she would actually sort of create like a densified field. She would collage them and sort of allow a certain historical context to come out, because it's a very particular magazine that kind of deals with the history of I guess, the black body, the black female body, in terms of how we perceive it in our society. There's also an excerpt here from the brochure commenting on how these images or how the work tends to disrupt the white gaze, and I find that very, very interesting. Because it doesn't really specify white male gaze, it simply just says white gaze. And I guess from a point of view of the periodical Players Magazine, which was published earlier, perhaps there wasn't really as powerful a voice in terms of the queer voices that we're hearing right now. Right now is a very monumental period in time where you have Black, Indigenous, and people of color being referenced in a lot of media, as well as queer and queer bodies, and so there's a lot of dialogue coming into play with regards to these issues. And this particular show, because Karice is of Afro-Caribbean descent, deals with certain topics that at one point were taboo, but now we're able to actually go and sort of like have a look at it more in the context of how society is evolving with these new issues in mind. The other thing that I wanted to stress is that for each and every one of these photographs, the reverse of each sheet is deep black. So I was thinking about this yesterday, and I was kind of looking at how photographs are developed and how a photograph as a flat object has two realities to it. You have the pictorial side, which is the real side of the image, and then you have the back, which is usually just a white background, and then you kind of like tend to question, why is it white? How did it come to be that the white back of a photograph became significant in these works, that it had to be colored black? There's a hint of blackness, so to speak, when you're looking at these photographs, especially when you're looking at when, let's say, a little bit of the wind would actually catch these photographs and flitter a little bit. You realize that there's something surreptitiously sort of wrong, well, not wrong, but weird about it. And it's because the reverse of it is purposefully colored black and it's not naturally white. And how did we come to that sort of like naturally white color in the first place? is the processing of paper, naturally white. Is cotton, when it's actually harvested, is that naturally white or is it bleached? And then when you're looking at the concept of bleaching, what is bleaching but a very decolonial tool, a very colonizing tool? And what's happening with these photographs when the reverse of them has been turned to black is that they're using that entire same mechanism that's actually in systemic racism to try and sort of like make a deal out of all of these elements that we are so used to. So, anyways, I just want you to have some sort of like moments to start to think about that. I will have the press release in the description area. And as I noted before, this is the last show for the Burrard Arts Foundation. So you have until October 28th to see the show. There's also another show, but because there's 2 shows right now, but I'm concentrating on Karice Mitchell's work for this video to sort of like gain some sort of more concentration on the work itself. And so, as is traditional in my video, I'm going to focus on one of the works that I particularly like, because I hope that you actually enjoyed this video. And if you did, you can click the like button. Also, please consider subscribing to the channel. It's free, not going to cost you any money. And it's also going to allow me the time and the confidence to actually go and do more videos of this caliber. Again, thank you for tuning in to another edition of Paul de Guzman Presents Art. I'm going to leave it at that. And like I said, just refer to the description area for more information about the show, the press release, the address, the times they are open. And on that note, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. I'm out of here. Bye.